front of bookshelves. It's been 4 years since I was able to film in front of bookshelves, but I'm so happy where we're living now. I put all of my books, not all of mine, the amount that I could fit on our bookshelves that fit in our office, and now can film in front of them. And I made these two shelves my Christmas shelves that I'll have for the month of December, and thought it would be really fun to film in front of them. And I got this really pretty fold out Christmas card I'm just using as a decoration. I don't think I'll be sending it to anyone. So I'm here for a combination of things, a Friday reads, and I also thought it would be fun for us to take a mystery quiz together, and then to update you on my 25 movies of Christmas project. So firstly, let's take a mystery quiz together. I will have included the link to the quiz down below, so you'll probably want to pause here and get to the mystery quiz. The name of it is Solve This Crime and Find Out Which Famous Detective You Are. The door to large mansions swings open. A large mansion, they mistyped it. Anyhow, a butler who looks as old as the house itself greets you and directs you to your room upstairs. The portraits on the wall seem to follow you as you glide up the stairs. You run your hand along the dusty banister and come across a drop of blood. So in case somehow this is your very first video you're ever watching from me, I'm doing this mystery quiz in honor of Cloak and Dagger Christmas, which is a fabulous mystery readathon that I am one of the hosts of. And we just celebrate all things mysteries in the month of December. I am also doing a Cloak and Dagger Christmas social where we're all going to be on a Zoom call tonight and talk about what we're currently reading, and it's going to be really fun. Trying to think of, yeah, for some reason you hadn't seen that on Instagram. If you aren't on Instagram and you want it to be included, you could comment down below and I'll make sure to send you the link for it. Okay, so the first question: when you stumble upon the dead body, what's the first thing you do? Lock the door, check for a pulse, check under the bed, or call the butler? I don't know why anyone would lock the door, why that would be their first thing they would do. I would say check for a pulse, because you want to confirm that they are in fact dead. Question 2, it appears that the time of death happened hours ago. How did you figure this out? Consult a doctor, collect witness statements, feel how cold the body is, let the police handle the specifics. I feel how cold the body is. You would have to kind of have experience in that to know if the temperature of the body was... I just think I wouldn't have the expertise for that. I'm going to say consult a doctor, because also witness statements, like someone could be lying about it. Let the police handle the specifics. I'm taking this quiz. I'm not just going to let the police handle the specifics. Question 3. You notice the window is slightly open and a ripped piece of red fabric is stuck in the crack. How do you find the owner? Go through the guest's luggage when they are out. Go through their luggage while they're asleep. Wait for the red item to present itself. Try to catch someone in a lie about owning a red item. Well, I wouldn't do it while they were asleep because they might wake up. And wait for the red item to present itself. I think especially if they knew it was torn or they wore it during the killing, I don't think they're going to want to. Maybe try to catch someone in a lie, but I think I'm going to go through the guest luggage when they are out. Okay, question. Downstairs at dinner, you try to feel out the other guests. What's your strategy? Remain quiet and listen. Crack jokes and have a good time. Try to intimidate the other guests at the table. Try to fool them by claiming you've solved the mystery. I don't think I'm clever enough to try to fool them by claiming that I've solved the mystery. I'm going to go with remain quiet and listen. Because if you're just paying attention in a mystery, you can find out a lot. This is Giselle, the heiress. She invites you to her room after dinner. How do you proceed? Well, Giselle is very glamorous looking. And now it froze. Let's see if I can get to the actual choices. Okay, here we go. Politely decline, sarcastically decline, rudely decline, politely join her, or knock on her door later unannounced. Go with the weapon and politely join her. And also maybe tell someone else there. That's where I am. This is Roger, the billionaire pineapple tycoon. He also invites you to his room after dinner. Plan of action. Tell him you already have plans with the heiress. He looks suspicious. Take the date. I think I would take the date. I would go with the weapon and take the date. For some reason, it just froze up when I was doing it there. So I'm now on the desktop computer answering questions. So I'm going to say he looks suspicious. Take the date for Roger, the billionaire pineapple tycoon. Okay, suddenly the butler enters with bad news. The chef has also been murdered. What's your hunch? Butler did it. Roger did it. Heiress did it. Too soon to tell. I feel like the butler didn't do it because it's rarely actually that the butler did it. It's like talked about a lot, but it's rarer. Okay. Hugo, the young handsome count, invites you to play cards in the parlor over cigars. Next move. Join Hugo for cigars. I'll just have to act like I actually smoke cigars. That's going to be interesting. As you unpack your luggage, you find a torn red scarf matching the one earlier from the window. Coincidence? I think not. Hugo planted the scarf. The butler planted the scarf. The heiress did it. Too soon to tell. I need more clues. I feel like I need more clues. All right. Mrs. Penny, the sassy widow, bursts into your room and accuses you of the murders. What's your defense? Explain my whereabouts over the last 24 hours. I suspect Miss Penny did it. Admit to Miss Penny that I committed the murders to fool her. Ignore her. Miss Penny is senile. I'm feeling adventurous. I think I'll admit to Mrs. Penny that I committed the murders to fool her. Let's see. You escaped to the library to think. Who do you think is behind this madness? Someone we haven't met yet. Someone we've already met. Someone in this house who we haven't met. I think it's someone I've met because they planted the red scarf in my suitcase. So they're scared. Next, you head to Giselle's room. She's undressed under the bed. Hunch? She's trying to seduce me. She's trying to distract me. She's trying to confide in me. She's trying to kill me. Distract me? Let's see. The butler calls your room with bad news. Miss Penny is dead. How does this complicate things? It doesn't. The butler obviously did it. This rules out the butler as a suspect. Miss Penny probably isn't dead. Let's go with it doesn't. The butler obviously did it. He's been around 2 dead bodies now. As you enter the hallway, you run into the chef who is still alive. What do you ask him? Why did the butler tell us you were dead? Does this red fabric belong to you? Why are you heading towards my room? Or why did the food at dinner taste so bland? I think I'll pick why did the butler tell us you were dead? Just cut to the chase with the important things. All right, question 15. You call all the guests to the main room for questioning. What is your strategy? Logically connect the dots? Rant and rave at the indecency of these people? Pull out a gun and demand confessions? Trick the culprit into outing themselves? Well, I know I'm going to be Poirot if I logically connect the dots. Trick the culprit into outing themselves? I don't know. You realize the butler did it all along. He tries to stop you, but instead you turn him over to the authorities, shoot him, let the angry guests deal with him. You've solved the crime for now. Turn him over to the authorities. That's what I'm going to do. As you leave the mansion, you look back at the gates. Who do you see? The chef, Giselle, Roger, Hugo, or the butler's ghost? I like that one. That's very Victorian. Time for your next case. Where will your adventures take you? Africa, Scotland, Chicago, Los Angeles. Well, I'm kind of biased against mysteries set in the US. I don't know why. Africa would be cool and exotic, but I gotta say Scotland is like, it's one of those places that mysteries are set, so I'm gonna say that. All right, are you ready? Philip Marlowe, the one and the only. Pour yourself a stiff 3 fingers of rye whiskey because you're none other than the famous film noir gumshoe Philip Marlowe. You are a regular of America's seedy underbelly, solving crimes for $20 a day plus expenses for questionable clients and even more questionable motives. The ultimate skeptic, you've been double-crossed and lied to so many times that you don't trust anybody, even yourself. Wow, very hardcore. And you know what? I'm going to be totally transparent with all of you. I'm going to have to Google Philip Marlowe. Let's see. Oh, Raymond Chandler, The Big Sleep. That is one of the like iconic mysteries that I know I need to get to. I know I do. It's one that I'm not drawn to, so I haven't been motivated to do it, but I know that's just an excuse. And if I love mysteries, I should read some of the really iconic ones. Very interesting. Well, thank you for joining me on that mystery quiz. I don't know if I agree with the results because I'm so not a like hard-boiled detective. I like more atmospheric ones sometimes. I just totally drew a blank. Jane Harper's. I don't know. I'm thinking about that now. Okay, and I'll keep doing each Friday reads of December. I'll keep doing a mystery quiz, and you can take them along with me. And don't forget to tell me your results down below if anybody else got Philip Marlowe. Okay, it has been a rocky beginning to Cloak and Dagger Christmas. I started The Night of 400 Rabbits by Elizabeth Peters for the, what prompt was it for? Oh, for the conservatory prompt, because it goes somewhere warm, to Mexico. And you know how sometimes you don't even realize there's a like certain kind of plot point or something that you are really not interested in, and you don't realize it until you're reading a book with it and you're like, oh yeah, this doesn't interest me at all. So I realized recreational drug use is one of those on the list. It involves the protagonist. It starts out very much like a Mary Stuart, and I really enjoyed her actual writing. So it was more an issue with the plot than the writing. But I just kind of check out immediately if that's going to be a big part of the plot, and she can't tell if her boyfriend is using or not. And then they get to Mexico, and he's experimenting with all sorts of drugs and using all of this slang from the late 80s. I have no idea what they're talking about until then they actually say like heroin or LSD. And I'm just like, why are you staying with him? He's clearly lying to you. Like, kick him to the curb. And I just couldn't get invested then in it. And yeah, it just bored me, all of this like back and forth about like who's selling drugs to whom. It's just really not a plot that interests me. So I ended up DNFing it. But I will say, I'm not that disappointed because I really liked her writing style. And this one was narrated in first person. So there's a lot more romantic suspense novels that Elizabeth Peters wrote. She didn't just write, Vicki Bliss or the Elizabeth Peters or the Amelia Peabody books. So I am excited to continue on, and through Overdrive, I think I have access to like 6 or 7 more of them on audiobook, and it worked really well as an audiobook. So I'm not totally disheartened. Then I was disheartened about this. So this one I was excited for. I was reading this for the kitchen prompt because it involves food. John Saturnell's Feast by Lawrence Norfolk. I bought this in a mystery bookshop and didn't want to read the synopsis because I didn't want like the surprise taken away from me or any spoilers on the dust jacket. I didn't know if there would be. And as I kept reading, I'm like, you know what? Is this just historical fiction? And then I looked it up on Goodreads, and sure enough, it is purely historical fiction. And I was medium enjoying it. I wasn't loving it, but I kept saying, well, maybe it's going to like ramp up. I got, 118 pages into it. So I made a fair amount until I realized it was purely historical fiction. So I kind of debated about maybe I should just push through because it's a new book that I bought. Why not read it? But I'm so in the mood for mysteries. And I really wanted to be, excited about Cloak and Dagger Christmas. So I decided to set it down, and I am okay with that. I am at peace with that. But it was frustrating. I just never even thought, she had it on a shelf of favorites with all of these mystery series. I didn't even think to ask, is this not a mystery? But now I'm coming to you. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I am ready to keep going. I am just getting started with Cloak and Dagger Christmas because I read and loved Mr. Churchill's Secretary by Susan Elia McNeal. And this was a recommendation of Megan Hannett. So Megan Hannett, if you're watching this, thank you for recommending this. I kind of had low expectations for this, not because of Megan's recommendation, but something about the title and this cover made me think I would be bored. Even though I love historical mysteries, I can't tell you, I think I just thought there would be so much politics. I think that's what it was, that I couldn't be interested. But this just shows you the sign of a good writer. There was a fair amount of politics, but it was her writing style that kept me going so much. She had it so the pacing was just perfect. I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of this. And it also was fairly character driven. She gives you several characters to be attached to. And then by the end, because you know this is the beginning of a series, and I got at a used bookstore like the first 6 in the series, at the end, you know, you're going to see several of these characters then in the following books. Yes, so I'm really excited about this series. It is a bit saucier than Maisie Dobbs. So if Maisie Dobbs, if you're thinking it's going to be exactly like it, you know, because they do seem kind of similar eras and British historical mystery, this is a bit saucier, but nothing outrageous. Let's see, what was the other thing I wanted to say about it? I did tag team with the audiobook, which was really fun because then it was kind of like every waking moment I wanted to read, I could be reading this, whether if I was driving, listening to the audiobook, or reading the actual physical book, which I'm much quicker at physical reading than I am at listening to an audiobook. So it was really fun just to blast through this and feel like, all right, I'm on the right track with Cloak and Dagger Christmas. Yes, so this was for the Hall prompt because it was an entry into a new series. So I cannot wait to continue on in the series, and I think I have access to all the audiobooks and I own 6 of the books, so 2021 is going to be a really fun mystery reading year. I'm deciding it now. I'm not going to feel like mysteries are something I have to wait to treat myself to. I just want to read so many mysteries this next year. Okay, then I read 2 short stories out of the Big Book of Christmas Mysteries, and they were, Susan Moody was the author of the first one. It's called More Than Flesh and Blood. It was very sinister, and I think the brevity of it, like, I didn't love it. And then I was disappointed by The Butlers Christmas Eve by Mary Roberts Reinhardt, and so those were the only 2 I've read out of this. I'm going to continue on, and hopefully I'll have some stories that I enjoy more from it, but it is a really satisfying book to read from because it's so floppy. It can just lay there. I don't have to hold it down at all. So yeah, I definitely have another section. I only have one more story in that section, and it's called A Traditional Little Christmas. The next section is A Funny Little Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say about Mr. Churchill's Secretary is that if you like the show Foyle's War, if you've watched the show Foyle's War, this will be the series of dreams for you. It really felt just like a Foyle's War episode, which was it was exactly what I was hoping it would be. And I was waiting to be disappointed, and I was not disappointed. So that was very, very fun. As far as Cloak and Dagger Christmas goes, the next ones I want to do, I just started this morning, Dark Fire by C.J. Sansom. This is the second in his Matthew Shardlake mystery series that's set in Tudor England, and I just feel like around Christmas time, I could go for some Tudor, historical mystery and historical mystery setting, because Tudor's really celebrating Christmas. And yeah, I'm about, 30 pages into this. I'm really excited about this one. It's been over a year since I read a Matthew Shardlake book. This is about he's a former monk who's now a lawyer. And he works, you're going to see Cromwell in this, Henry VIII some, and really interesting stories. And this type of plot in this one I've seen in a couple mystery novels, and I really love it. It's where the odds are really going against someone. It looks kind of without a shadow of a doubt that they've committed the crime. And the detective, whoever our sleuth is, takes it upon themselves and realizes, wait, this is not quite as straightforward as everyone is acting like it is. And I love that kind of investigating everything against the odds. There is a girl named Elizabeth who is living with her uncle's family. And she's kind of an outcast of the family. And everything points to her being really jealous of her cousin. And one day she and her cousin are standing by a well. Her cousin is a little bit younger than her. And her other cousins who are not by the well, they hear a scream and they look. And then her cousin was found, the boy that she was standing by the well with was found at the bottom of the well, and he died. So everything points to her having killed him. But I think Shardlake is going to be like, innocent until proven guilty. I'm very intrigued to continue with this. And I'm pairing this with the audiobook, so you can tell I'm really feeling in a good rhythm, I can, double back and forth. And that's a way to really make progress on some mysteries. Then I read aloud to Peter two things, and they were both on my Create Your Own Holiday Adventure TBR. The first was I Saw Three Ships by Elizabeth Goudge. Do I have it right here? Oh, no. It's in the other room. I Saw Three Ships. It was a really short little novella. It was Elizabeth Goudge, so I loved it. About a little girl who's staying with her aunts, who she kind of feels a little bit stifled with them. She's a really active girl. She wants to be running around, and they're worried like she'll get sick if she runs around too much. And on Christmas Day, three ships come sailing into their community. And I liked that in each little chapter of this novella, part of the verses of I Saw Three Ships were tied into it. It was woven in very beautifully. It was a really charming little short, sweet Christmas story. Then I read The Family Under the Bridge. And this one I liked, but I did not love. It was a very 3-star read for me. Peter enjoyed it moderately well. I liked it. I think I would really enjoy a little sweet Christmas movie of it. But yeah, so a 3-star read, fun to read together. And then we just started, and I read the first story this afternoon of Noel Streafeild's Christmas Stories. We really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this. This was also on my Create Your Own Holiday Adventure TBR. So this is 3 out of the 4 I was hoping to read to Peter once I finish this one. That would be 3 out of the 4. So I'm doing well with my reading with him. And then I have around 100 pages left of Holloxpox. I was going to say Wondersmith. Of Holloxpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the third in the Morgan Crow Nevermore series, and it's so good. I'm really glad I tried to continue on with this series, because I tried the second book. I did not actually enjoy that much, and I actually got very close to DNFing, and so I thought, you know what, sophomore slump, push through. It was one of those times I decided to push through, especially because I was listening to it as an audiobook. And I'm so glad I did now, because this one is my favorite out of the series by far. I'm heartbroken. I'm utterly heartbroken. I only have 100 pages left. I can't wait to see where this series is going to go. I'll talk about it more later. And then I have a decision to make of whether or not I want to try to squeeze this in. This time next year we'll be Laughing, a memoir by Jacqueline Winspear. I was shocked to be one of the first people on hold for this at the library, and it's going to be due so soon. But I'm really in the mood for mysteries, but then I'm worried I'll have to wait like 4 months at the library to get this. So we're going to see if I can squeeze it in. It is not long. It is less than 300 pages. Yeah, so I just have to decide. Now, on to the Christmas movies. And I can't believe this, but I tallied them up, and apparently I have watched 12 Christmas movies, and it's only December 4th. I got desperate, but even before Thanksgiving, which is usually my rule, like the day after Thanksgiving, I'm allowed to kind of, let myself, because I want Christmas to feel magical and not, I just don't want to start too early. Otherwise, I won't be as excited to watch them, but I waited as long as I could. Okay, a lot of Hallmark. I got the Friendly app, which is only $6 a month, so I'm just doing it over December. So $6 for access to a ton of Christmas movies, I think is not too shabby. And so first, this actually was on Amazon Prime on sale for 99 cents, and that is Christmas Pen Pals. And this is like a kind of a You've Got Mail kind of vibe to it, where everyone in this sweet little town signs up to have a Christmas pen pal, and they write letters to each other, and then on Christmas Eve there's a Christmas ball and the Christmas pen pals are revealed. It's got the trope of like working woman who's a workaholic and doesn't realize the magic of Christmas enough. And it was cute. It was like a very cute it was a cute, very fun watch and enjoyable. Then I watched Operation Christmas Drop, and the concept, the plot itself is really cool because it's based on real events. Every year there is an Operation Christmas Drop where American, I think it's Australian and French soldiers work together, and they drop off kind of things that might be hard to get at these islands, like over-the-counter painkillers, like acetaminophen or ibuprofen, maybe antibiotics, trying to think like dry goods, pasta, canned goods, kind of thing like that. And so it's neat that that happens. That's really cool, but it just kind of fell a little flat. I just got bored. It was like, it was a little too sincere, and I know that sounds weird about a Christmas movie, but I like to have a lot of humor in Christmas movies unless it's classic. Like It's a Wonderful Life, I don't mind all of the feelings with that one because it's classic. Whereas with the more modern ones, it's hard to explain, but it kind of gives me secondhand embarrassment, like if they're too sincere. So then I watched A Very Merry Mix-Up, and this was an almost DNF. And this, I mean, it's just so convoluted how this happens. The reason I almost DNF'd was the leading lady. Her voice drives me crazy. Crazy. It's like she's a little kid and she's putting on this fake voice, but I think it's her real voice. She's going with her fiance to meet his family for Christmas. And right before he's going to go with her, he gets a call that this real estate deal that he'd been waiting for so long, he's going to get it. And he sends her. He throws her to the wolves. He sent her on her own to go meet her future in-laws, which I just can't imagine. When she gets there, her phone gets out of commission at the airport, and this guy at the airport says, well, where are you going? Wanting to help her. And she says oh, the Mitchum household. He's like, I'm a Mitchum. And then he thinks it's his brother who's the fiance. It's not his brother. The fiance is a workaholic. This guy who says, you can come with my family for Christmas. We're his family. It turns out to be, very romantic. And so you can kind of guess what's going to happen there. So yeah, didn't love that one. Now, some that I did love. A Timeless Christmas, which was a time traveler Christmas on Hallmark, where he lives in the, I think, early 1900s and ends up time traveling through this special, a clock, through a special clock, and ends up in modern day when his house has now been turned into a museum, and he falls in love with the museum curator. I really liked this one. It had a lot of charm to it, and I don't know, just something about it. Just the plot moved really quickly, and I really loved the sets. They were so beautiful. Really liked this one. Then Jingle Bell Bride. And if you have seen Christmas with the Cranks and also A Cinderella Story, then our leading lady in this will look familiar to you. She is a wedding planner, and there is this Jingle Bell Rose that she just has to have. Her career depends upon it, and if she gets the Jingle Bell Rose, then for this bride, for her wedding, then she will get this big promotion and get to live in Paris, which is so glamorous. And so she has to travel to Alaska, which is the only place still selling that isn't sold out of the Jingle Bell Rose. And there's a very handsome young florist, so you can kind of guess what's going to happen there. This had a lot of charm. I loved the side characters in this one. The Alaskan setting was amazing. Of course, they go, out to look at the Northern Lights one night. Really enjoyed this one. Then A Cranberry Christmas. This was a really sweet one about a married couple who had fallen out of love and fell back into love with each other and had just kind of had lost focus of what they loved about each other and had, marriage is really, really challenging, and it's not supposed to be easy like movies make it look. It's not supposed to be this romantic feeling that you have all the time, and it's a partnership. And I think if you go in with that mentality, it can be something super rewarding. And I love, hearing an older, wiser grandmother character in this talk about that. You shouldn't expect it to be easy. Like, wow, it was hard. Were you surprised it was hard? The most rewarding things in life that you work at are going to be hard work, but they're well worth it. So I really like this one. It was really just sweet to watch this couple who had, some ways that they had really hurt one another kind of come to this resolution and forgiveness. It was super sweet. So this was a sincere one that I didn't mind. Let's see. Then The Christmas Bow, really liked this one. It was about a violinist who her hand was injured, and she was out of commission for playing the violin for a while. And so she goes back to her hometown, and guess who, the physical therapist that is working with her, is he handsome? Does he happen to be handsome and have lots of chemistry with her? Why, yes, he does. What's cool about this is that the woman, the actress who plays her, is a professional violinist herself. So I thought that element was really cool because she did play so beautifully. It was really neat to see that. Yeah, so this was a really cool one. Lots of Christmassy activities happening in this one, and I especially loved the guy who played the lead in this. Just something about his, I don't know, his charisma that he had was a really, really just fun to watch on screen. Then I watched Christmas by Starlight. This is kind of a hate to love sort of thing where this cute little cafe is going to be taken over and turned into a skyscraper. You know, it'll be demolished and then turned into yet another skyscraper in New York City. And it's this woman, her parents own the cafe. She goes on a mission and decides to make a deal with this lawyer who's working on buying this, or make a deal with this high-end executive that she will pretend to be his lawyer for the week. And of course they end up falling in love. This I liked, I didn't love. I got a little bit bored during it. I don't know, something about the plot just, I didn't think their dialogue was quite interesting enough. There were some funny bits, but I thought overall, so-so, didn't love it. Then I watched Christmas, The Princess Switch. The Princess Switch is a rewatch in preparation for The Princess Switch 2. And I love this one as much as ever. It is ridiculous, but listen, I was of the High School Musical era. I love Vanessa Hudgens. I don't know what it is. I just love watching her. I love her. So I think if you are in the mood for something extremely cheesy, then you'll like it. Like, it's just as cheesy as the Christmas Prince series on Netflix, but that actress, I just cannot get into her acting. But since I like Vanessa Hudgens, love this movie. Cannot wait for the sequel, which has her playing not only 2 roles, but 3 roles. Can't wait for that. Then Eloise at Christmas. I love this one. I watched it with my boys. They loved it. Eloise, if I knew her in real life, I would not like her. She's really naughty and rude, but she's great to watch in a movie. And it's just dripping with Christmas spirit. I love this one. I will never get tired of it. It's a must watch every single year for me. Love it. And honestly, feel a little bit like rewatching it, just talking about it. And then I watched Borrowed Hearts with some people on Instagram. I put together an Instagram chat group. I had not watched this in probably a decade, and I love this movie so much. This high-end executive is trying to make a deal and look good while he's making the deal. And he knows the guy who he's making the deal with is a family man, so he hires this mom and daughter to pose as his wife and daughter, and they end up falling in love in the process. It's classic to me. I love this one. And yeah, I was really pleased that I still loved it, even though it had been a decade since I watched it. And then I started, but I have not finished because I got tired and wanted to go to bed, and then I've been watching less Christmas movies, ironically, since Cloak and Dagger Christmas started, because I'm so excited to read mysteries for an entire month. But I started the Albert Finney Scrooge. I really liked what I watched. Real talk though, I did fast forward through the songs. I have already talked about how I feel about musicals. I have the ones locked and loaded, like that I loved as a kid, and it's really hard for me to find new ones. So all the live action parts, I was really enjoying, and I just give myself that liberty to fast forward through songs of new musicals if I don't feel like watching them. Okay, that concludes this very lengthy Friday Reads Mystery Quiz 25 Movies of Christmas update. Thank you for watching, and tomorrow you have a very fun Cloak and Dagger Christmas video coming your way about all of the different mystery subgenres. So I will see you tomorrow for another video. Happy Cloak and Dagger Christmas, everyone, and have a lovely day.